Well, it's Mrs. Haack here again, and today we have something to talk about called the Internet Code of Conduct. So, if you know what the Internet is, I'm sure we all do, there is something called a Code of Conduct that I will need you to sign so that you will be aware of what your expectations are. So, Code of Conduct is exactly what I just said. It's the expectations for how you should behave, so that you know what's expected of you and we can all be on the same page. I'm going to go over the main points of the contract. The contract looks like this, and once you've heard about the expectations for you, if you think you can follow them, then you will sign the bottom of this contract. So this is our validation that you heard what the rules and expectations were and you agreed to follow them. So in case somebody forgets or violates these, then the consequences will not be a surprise to you. So the Internet has to do with the computer, so let's go over to the computer. Alright, so the first thing is we're at school. So at home, when you go to the Internet, you can do whatever you would like on it that your family allows. But at school, we are going to use the Internet for educational purposes related to school or classroom activities. That doesn't mean we can't have fun. It just means what we're going to do has to have a meaningful purpose to it. So, because we are on what is called a network. A network is many people around our school district are all using the Internet. So we can't be wasting our resource and taking away space and time from other people that have something valuable to do. So we respect the network by using the school network for those purposeful and meaningful activities only. So, especially if you come in at recess, I'm going to explain what that means. So I am going to go on the Internet. I came in, let's say at my recess. Go ahead and put this down. And I want to use the Internet. So first of all, I'm going to think about, well, what would be something that would be meaningful and purposeful? So if you go to the library and you go to your school library, you are going to get a page. It's going to open up to our library page that looks like this. Okay? But there is a little button at the top of the page that says Exit. And you want to exit that, and the reason you do is it's going to take you to another screen, and this screen has two tabs at the top. One tab says Home. This is what I'm calling our library home page. What Mrs. Haack has set up for you on the library home page is lots of choices where you can find meaningful and purposeful things to do. So, there are lots of things that come up on this page, and if you would click on them, they would have links. So I've highlighted some. One of them will take you to our e-books, which are our electronic books that you can read. That is always a meaningful and purposeful thing to do, is to read a book. Or we have things like keyboarding, and there are choices under that for where you can go to work on keyboarding, because that's a skill that you'll need to use if you are wanting to use a computer. Okay? Or perhaps you would like to work on some math. So here's an example. Here's an example. If you went to keyboarding, we have these things are listed as choices. Or if you go to the math sites, there's a lot of math sites. IXL Math, a lot of you know that. That's always a good place. Cool Math has lots of fun, but educational things to do as well. So we're not saying you can't have fun. We're saying it needs to have a purpose. So, what we don't do are those things that are better off done at home that really don't have anything educationally about them. So that would be the two biggest things that are a big no at school are Minecraft and Pop Tropica. Okay? So, the two things that I just went over that are in the contract, that we are only doing the things on the Internet that are educational and meaningful. So you could tell me that. It's like, well, this is I'm working on my math, or I'm working on my keyboarding, or I'm reading. Those are all good purposes. Okay? and they should be related to school or your classroom. Sometimes you're working on a project, your teacher wants you to go to a site. That's another great use of the internet. Okay? So, one of the things that many of you like to do is in our library program, you like to go to the MyQuest, which is where we make our book friends. So again, that is for the educational purpose of talking about books, and that is the only thing we should see you talking about. You are recommending books, you are sharing books you've read, you're commenting about the other books people have read. When you are doing these comments, here is another one of our Internet Code of Conduct rules, which is we respect the rights of others. So that means you aren't wasting somebody's time by sending things like a whole bunch of exclamation marks or random letters that don't say anything. That is a violation of our Internet Code of Conduct. We also don't reveal our personal information. And your login information is personal information to you. You don't share yours. You don't share your friends. So this is very important that your information stays private. So if you borrow the cards that have your information, make sure you put yours back. If you happen to see somebody left theirs, the appropriate thing to do is bring it back to us and we'll put it back where it needs to go. All right. This should be obvious. We are polite in what we do on the internet, and we use appropriate language. So one of the things is, and Code of Conduct, many people are doing this for the internet, just not in this library. Many times you might even be a sports team, and they're asking you that if you use the internet, you are using it appropriately. The bottom line is, if you ever have a question about whether what you can or can't do, you are not sure. If you aren't sure, you need to ask an adult in charge, right? It is not your friend. If your friend told you okay, that is not going to be okay as a reason for doing it. So that would be a violation. So the internet at school is a privilege, and that privilege can be taken away. So hopefully everyone can follow these very simple rules, and we will all be able to use the internet at school appropriately.